Today on the channel, we're back at it with another NECA Dungeons & Dragons unboxing. This time, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons. We got Elkhorn.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Dungeons & Dragons NECA unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we got the Dwarf with a Heart of Gold, or something like that, as we do got Elkhorn, the throwback inspired by the original Dungeons & Dragons line of the 80s from LJN. But for all your Dungeons & Dragons needs and a whole lot more, make sure you're hitting up Entertainment Earth. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10% on in-stock items. Anything over $99 does ship free. Got to get a deal out there, of course, over there at Entertainment Earth. But of course, we're going to do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And Dungeons & Dragons back in our eyesight today here on the channel, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons. And I don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons. We've made that pretty clear on the channel over the last 5 years, whatever it's been. What is time once again? But I really do like the figures that NECA's been pumping out. I've bought all the regular editions. I've bought all the toy-inspired editions. So I guess I'm all in on the Dungeons & Dragons NECA line at this point right here. And this is a very fun line, as you can mix these characters with other toy lines, like Mythic Legions, for example. And we'll do some comparisons later on in this very video here. But of course, this is our second time around. But for me, third time around with Elkhorn, as I did, and I've said this story before, and I'll do it real fast again. I had the toy that this figure was based on as a little kid, and I went many, many years not knowing what this toy was from until the internet hit. Found out it was a Dungeons & Dragons toy, but I thought it was just a little dwarf fighter that was in my collection. Had no idea where it came from, and that was a really cool thing back in the day where there was mystery around some toys. You got a toy at a garage sale, you maybe have no idea what it was. I'm sure if you're of age, you remember a story like that once upon a time for you, of course, as well. But Elkhorn always held a special place in my heart. Really got my start of dwarf love. Yeah, dwarf love at an early age. Went over to Time Bandits, of course, and then guys like Hornswoggle. Oh, blown a kiss to Hornswoggle, of course. But shout out to Elkhorn right here. Very cool throwback inspired packaging on a hard card. Usually NECA's come in a box. This is on a card. Looking very nice. A great displayer if there ever was one. Blurb in the front of the package on this. How about that? Big bubble window there. Dungeons & Dragons 50th anniversary. And he's good action figures. Good action figures, or he is a good guy, of course. It does say Elkhorn. He's a good dwarf fighter. He's not just an okay fighter. He's not the best fighter. He's not the worst. He's just a good fighter. He's a good fighter at the end of the day. What else does it say about our friend Elkhorn? Elkhorn has been Strongheart's most stalwart companion over the years. Unflinchingly loyal, tirelessly optimistic, and fiercely devoted to the destruction of evil in all its forms. He's not especially bright, and so he fights with his heart rather than his wits. Age has drained much of the strength from Elkhorn's body. Strongheart has urged Elkhorn to retire, but the old dwarf stubbornly refuses to go. Good for him. Good for him. Stay in the fight as long as you can, but we know what happens. He's going to get stabbed in the head, get his head chopped off. He's going to have something happen because you miss a step out there on the battlefield, and we all know what happens from there. On the back, talking about the different lines, of course, or the different figures, I should say. The toy edition ones here that we've been unboxing recently, and then the old favorites here. We unboxed all of these. Will Grimsword ever get a one of these cartoon or comic? How about third try? Third time's the charm right there. Toy editions. Will Grimsword ever get one of those? Maybe not. Maybe he will. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But not a lot going on. The fantasy comes alive with Dungeons & Dragons posable action figures authentically reproduced so you can recreate the battle between good and evil. And there's a battle. Jeez, are you kidding me? Look at that. See you later, goodbye. And there's that battle going on every single day around this house. There's no doubt. See you later, goodbye. Those dogs up to evil. They're up to evil as of late, I do think. But there's old Elkhorn right out of the package right here. And his little shield went a-flying on that one as well. Wild times out in the streets today. See you later, goodbye. But we do get the shield looking very nice. Got some dings, got some dents. It's been used a time or two. He is an old fighter at the end of the day. And now I got to bust him out as we've got clip ties for days. Honestly, for days right here. We got him wrapped up at both of his little feet here. Both arms, the waist. Oh my gosh, how are we ever going to get him out of here? But I always love these cranky dwarfs, be it in Dungeons & Dragons apparently, or maybe Lord of the Rings. Always something about a cranky dwarf with a heart of gold. There's always something special about that, if you ask me. I need to get a real good dwarf friend that lives around me that could kind of hang out and do things. I could be his strong heart. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Oh my gosh, he's locked up at the horns on his helmet. They're not wasting anything on this one here. They're locking him on everywhere, it seems to be. What's going on here? We got tape. Of course we got tape. Oh my, they're not messing around. They don't want anybody getting lost out of the package on this figure. That is for sure. Pop that out as well. Are we there yet? That's what I used to tell my dad on road trips. Are we there yet? And we're not quite there yet, son. Not quite there. All right, now we're there. See you later. Goodbye. And all right, got to clean up all these twist ties. And let me tell you, there's a lot of twist ties. But let's go through the rest of the accessories before we get down to our buddy Elkhorn here. But he has got a little dot knife, a little dagger here, little blade going on, nice silver blade. Yellow in the top of the handle there, down to brown, and then a little cherry red at the end here. We got a little dagger to get somebody right in the gut if he needs to. Or maybe the shin. Maybe the shin, you never know with a dwarf. And then, of course, got the long sword here. Very reminiscent color scheme here. He's on brand for his weapons, of course. Looking very good with the yellow, brown, and red attack with a little dash of silver, of course. Talked about the shield already, and that's it. So that's one thing we've noticed with these figures over the last year or so we've been unboxing them. A lot less accessories with these ones. A lot less accessories. But here it is, old Elkhorn, and no extra heads either. So I want to make a point of that as well. But looking here, feels like we've been here before, like a young Iron Maiden deja vu. Gosh, I can't talk today. Iron Maiden deja vu. But it is a repaint, and it is in the color scheme of the toy back in the 80s, which, once again, very reminiscent to me. I will say I'm thinking about breaking one of these horns off, because mine as a kid somehow had the horn broken off. So maybe I should just do it for old time's sake. Maybe not, but it is a bright yellow helmet on top here. Nice horns as well. Almost looks like it could use one more coat of paint on it, though. I will say it is just a little bit, I don't know, it just feels like it needs a little bit more yellow. I would say the same thing about all the yellow on the body on this one right here. He does got red little jewels there at the top of the helmet looking good, and a little spike at the top. Helmet not removable for those wondering. Got that big beard and got that long hair. Dwarfs love those big beards, of course, as we do know. Like a young David the Gnome. Oh, David the Gnome, just doing gnome things all the time. Doing good things, old David the Gnome, but he has got a jolly kind of bigger face on him here. Just a really stereotypical dwarf in a fantasy spectrum. That's what he looks like here. Very stereotypical. Got some chainmail, got some shoulder protection, got the arm protection there. I got some big old gloves and forearms going here, like a leather type is what you imagine those to be. Same thing on the belt. He does have the dwarf heavyweight title. He has been defending this for a long time. He is losing a step, so now if you're a up-and-coming dwarf, man, you can swing in and steal his title, I bet. Got a little spot to store his knife there as well. Love to be able to store stuff on the figures here. Looking at the pants, got some teal pants, very fashion forward for the 80s. He was ready for a stint on Miami Vice, I think is what he was ready for there. Got the wrapped up boots and then down into the tennis shoes or shoes, boots down here, looking very good. Arms, of course, kind of go around. You're a little bit limited by the shoulder there. You do get single jointed, nope, double jointed with a swivel at the elbows right there. Hands back and forth, removable. No extra hands with this one, though, unfortunately. Head, very limited in the articulation. You got articulation on that back ponytail, though, for those keeping track at home. No beard articulation, though, unfortunately, there. A little bit of waist there, a little bit of dwarf splits, if there ever was one, a little bit of legs going up, single jointed knees side to side, no boot cut, and ankles a little bit back and forth side to side. So not tons and tons of articulation on this guy here. A little bit limited, but he is just a little dwarf, so he's a little bit limited in what he can do, of course. He does fit on a Mattel ringside collectible stand for those keeping track at home. Stick him on there, and you're off to the old dwarf races with him right here. But looking good. Very nostalgic for me growing up in the 80s, playing with this action figure to get this many years later. Very, very cool. Much like Crystar over there in Marvel Legends this year. It's the year of 80s nostalgia of figures. I didn't know what they were when I was a kid until many years later. something really fun about that. I'm sure maybe some of you guys or gals watching this have maybe experienced that over the years as well. But I do got the regular version of Elkhorn here, a lot more detailed, more accessories, a backpack, a different head, just a lot going on with this one. But not that this one's bad or anything else. Maybe you don't want the full deluxe version. I'm going to make them as different as possible, as I always do say. I'll have the shield on here, have the sword going there, different heads. There's enough differences to be dangerous here, and it is a fun one, especially with the nostalgia factor for me here today. But he does look good next to his compadre here. And you can have a little dwarf army, pretend they're different characters if you wanted to, which I guess leads us to some Mythic Legion action right here. He could be the leader of the dwarf army if you wanted that kind of thing. Of course, on my channel, Kyle Peterson 2.0, every single Monday we're unboxing a different Mythic Legion figure. Head over there if that is your thing as well. Subscribe to the channel while you're there. But Elkhorn looking pretty fun, looking pretty good in this one here. Definitely worth the money. You're about $33, $34 with taxes, depending where you're at out at retail. Of course, online retailers should have him fairly soon as well. But all good for what it is. I really enjoyed this one, and I think the nostalgia really helped that along as well. But definitely worth a pickup, whether you're getting this one, or, as we say, why not both? How about that? So there it is, Elkhorn Dungeons & Dragons. What's your thoughts on old Elkhorn? A pickup, a pass, a long game, a no game, a I'm not so sure game? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. Check out my Patreon, link in the description down below. ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, and hit me up, follow along on social media, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for Elkhorn, the Mighty, the Dwarf, I'm the Kyle, and I'll see you guys all real soon.